All right, we will call this meeting of the Consolidated Helena and Lewis and Clark County Planning Boards to order. We have 4 members present, so we'll just get started and introduce ourselves. My name is Quinlan O'Connor. I am the chair and a city member. Lois.
Hi, my name's Lois Steinbeck. I am a member appointed by the county.
Jean.
Hi, Gene Walborn, city appointee.
And Adrian.
Hi, Adrian Cotton, county appointee.
Great. If somebody else jumps on, please let us know. But otherwise, we will get started on the first agenda item, which is the land use plan update with Director Brink. So, Director Brink, I will pass it to you if you're ready.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. So real quick, I won't take a lot of your time. We are deeply involved now and started with our land use plan updating process. We had official kickoff from a staff standpoint with the consultant who was Halcyon Levine out of Chicago. We kicked that off from a staff standpoint back in April and May. The public engagement piece kicked off the week of June 3rd while they were in town. They did some windshield surveys. They conducted approximately 42 stakeholder interviews during that week, and also had initial meetings with our planning commission, city leadership. So it is underway, and currently they're working on synthesizing those interviews and those summaries, as well as starting the initial work on existing conditions. So that's kind of where they are in the process. So it is ongoing. Contract anticipates this to be wrapped up by the fall of next year. So another 12 or 18 months, we'll get a completed document. I do want to point out a couple of websites and a couple items of information and opportunities for you to engage in this process. And I know at the beginning I stated, we'll involve the planning board as well, even though now because of 382 we have our own planning commission. We're going to continue to involve the planning board. So once we get to where we're ready to present some items for public consumption and board input, we'll bring those items to the planning board too, as well as our planning commission. So look for that probably sometime October, November, for us to bring the consultant with you guys and meet with you guys. So some websites and some opportunities for public engagement. So we do have a website for Helena Forward, which is what we're calling our land use plan. And that can be found at www.helenant.gov/Helena-forward. If you go to that site, that will take you to the project page, which was set up by Halcyon Levine. There you'll have an opportunity to submit a questionnaire, which is typical of all processes. Something unique for us, you'll actually be able to participate in what's called Map Social. So you'll be able to interact and create your own map, highlighting areas that you want to protect, areas that need attention, areas of development constraints, traffic concerns, and all that. So you'll be able to do that on the map. The only caveat to that is you will need to create an account with ESRI to be able to create that map. Something unique for us too, we're going to have what's called DIY toolkits. So that is really an opportunity for citizen groups, neighbors, neighborhoods, to request this kit from staff. You'll have to check them out so we can keep track of who has them and who's doing these engagement pieces. But that's a kit that lays out how to conduct a community meeting, how to get feedback, how to collect input, and then how to get that back to us. So something unique for us. Also on our community development page, we have a separate land use project page as well, where we're keeping track of the public engagement opportunities, keeping a running tab on our calendar and what's coming up, as well as additional information relative to the land use plan process. So I know that was pretty quick. Do keep an eye out on social media. We did just do a social media blast today on Facebook and on X, letting everybody know about some public engagement opportunities. You'll see water bill inserts as well continuously through the next 12 or 18 months. So just keep an eye out. This is going to be, the public's going to see this, see the logo, see our QR codes around town, public events and whatnot. We just encourage everybody to just participate. That's all I have, Chair O'Connor.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions?
Quinlan, this is
Go ahead,
Lois.
Lois.
I don't have a question. I just want to thank Director Brink for making plans to keep us included. I know the structure of the planning board is going to change, and I know we're going to be separate, but I really, really appreciate keeping us in the loop. I was wondering, have you appointed the 3 members that will be part of this planning effort for you folks?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor and Board Member Steinbeck. Yes, so we have 3 Planning Commission members. Lucy Richards, excuse me, she's the chair. We have Mike Newhouse and we have Ann Schwinn. Those are the 3 Planning Commission members. In addition to helping with this planning effort, we've also including 7 members of the HCC to represent each one of the 7 districts. They're also going to be part of the stakeholder team. So that group, in coordination, collaboration with the Planning Commission, will be what's considered our stakeholder team. So they'll be intimately involved in this process. And again, like Ed promised, the planning board, even though the structure is going to change and by state statute, we had to create our own planning commission. We're still going to have you involved. And so later on in the project, once we get to where we're ready to provide data and some input, we're going to reach out to the planning board as well. So, but in the interim, please participate, go to the websites, provide us public feedback now. So we just encourage you to help us get the word out as well. So,
Okay, thank you, Director Brink.
Related to the 382 piece, I know that or at least I believe that I know that the long-term plan was that the city was going to withdraw from this board. Are there any updates on that? And if no, because it wasn't actually part of the agenda, it's more my own curiosity as a city member, but.
That's fine. So yes, eventually, Chairman, once we get fully implemented with 382, which will be, our deadline is May 2026. You'll start to see about that time a dissolution of the planning board as it exists now, and it will strictly become a planning board, or county planning board. But at that same time, the planning commission will increase in size. So we're hoping existing members on the planning board that are city members, city appointees, could then be reappointed to the larger planning commission. So we're 3 members now. We envision with full implementation, we'll go to 7.
I see. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for the update.
Thank you. Absolutely.
All right. The next item on our agenda is the avalanche conservation easement. And Mr. Gonzalez, if you're ready.
Mr. Chair, board members, can you guys see my shared screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
And just, sorry, before we start, if folks do have questions, just hit the raise hand button. It makes it a lot easier, and then we can go there. It's at the bottom of your screen. It should just say raise hand. Go ahead, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Phil Gonzalez here with Lewis and Clark County Community Development and Planning. Today I'm briefly presenting the avalanche conservation easement request for comment. The applicant, Prickly Pear Land Trust, has recently submitted a request for comment to the County Community Development and Planning Office to be reviewed for potential comments. So the proposed property under review totals 5,338 acres, and it straddles Lewis and Clark County as well as Marr County lines along the crest of the Big Belt Mountains. The proposed conservation easement would be held by the applicant, PPLT, a locally accredited land trust organization, and the proposed conservation easement draft was located with the staff report as attachment 1. So here's a kind of a big picture. You'll see the Avalanche property is broken up into 2 distinct parcels up there in the middle of that map. So here's a close-up of the property we're discussing. As you can see, the properties are contained within 2 parcels. As I mentioned, 5,338 acres. The larger lot is the one that is straddling between both Lewis and Clark County and Marr County. The portion within our county is approximately a quarter to a third of the total acreage to be put under conservation, and is the portion which is being requested for comment by this board. The easement will limit the use of the property to development within a specific building envelope. It'll limit subdivisions of the parcels, as well as limit commercial activities to maintain the ecological and cultural values of the property. A lot of that information is in the draft easement. Planning staff has reviewed the submitted conservation easement and has determined it does not conflict with any planning efforts in the area. The property is located outside of any planning area or zone district. As a result, staff has no comment specific to this conservation easement. Now, under MCA 766206, a conservation easement shall be subject to review and comment from the local planning authority. That planning board may comment on issues regarding planning efforts in that area. So today we're here just to solicit any potential comments from board members of the planning board. With that, I'm here to answer any questions. The applicant representative, Travis from Prickly Pear Land Trust, is also available to answer any questions you may have. Thanks.
Thank you. And Travis, do you have comments that you'd like to make at this time?
I do not. I just wanted to be available for any comments or any questions that folks have on this property. I'm pretty familiar with the goals of Lewis and Clark County's planning department, having gone through the open space bond program a couple of times. And this one fits very well within that program as well. We opted not to pursue that funding just because of the level of privacy of these particular landowners, as well as just the public value of this property is very much in keeping this property as remote and as possible. So it didn't rise to the level that most of our projects do in terms of being closer to roads or more frequently visited parts of our county. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from board members? Any questions, or I suppose comments also? Last call. All right. Well, thank you for being here, Travis. And thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for the presentation as well.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
The next on our agenda, I understand that we have an update on growth policy amendments from Lindsay.
Yes. So Lindsay Morgan, land use planner for Lewis and Clark County. So just kind of wanted to give a brief update on where we're at with the growth policy, what we've done so far, what we've been hearing, and also what we're working on now and what the future looks like. So kind of to start off, SE Group, they're a consultant for the project. They've done quite a bit of research, reviewed, all the documents that we can provide to them. I also made sure, Lois, that they have all the information from the zoning advisory panel, the recommendations that they gave, So they had a lot of, information that they reviewed, and they used that to create a snapshot, which documents, the county's current conditions. This snapshot is to serve as the foundation for community engagement, and then eventually recommendations will be developed for the growth policy update. They do plan to post this snapshot on our project website within the next 2 weeks. So you could be looking for that if you're interested. As far as engagement, they did an engagement summary. This describes the key takeaways from the various stakeholder meetings that were held, and then also the 6 open houses that we had at the end of April. That engagement summary is actually available on the website now. You can look at that. It's about 70 some pages in length. They also did a survey, and that survey closed at the end of June. And they are currently analyzing the results of that survey. But they did have that survey up for, maybe a little over 2 months. They've also completed some vision statements for the county. They've done one for the county as a whole, and then they've also done one for each of the planning areas. Planning staff did review both the engagement summary and the vision statements, and then also, following our review, they had our technical advisory committee provide input on both of those as well. Just some of the things that we've heard through, the engagement process is, that housing affordability is a major priority, that there is a need to create more opportunities for strategic growth, that there is a need to consider and protect groundwater and natural resources, that sustaining and enhancing critical transportation, sewer, and water infrastructure is a constant challenge, that fire and flooding risk are major concerns, that preserving agriculture and working lands is a priority, especially in the Helena Valley, that outdoor recreation in the natural environment is important to everyone, and that there is importance to safeguard culture, heritage, and rural character. Now, some of the things that we're working on currently would be the plan draft. Planning staff has reviewed a plan outline and policy framework for the growth policy update, and we've provided our comments already to SE Group. Haven't heard anything back yet, but we do meet with them tomorrow. And that in the future, they're planning to complete the plan draft, but that's not something that we've seen yet. We're having a technical advisory committee meeting next week. And for that, we're actually doing a land use map workshop to go over the draft future land use map. And then once, we've completed that with the technical advisory committee, they're going to draft the map itself, and then staff will get a chance to review that and provide comment. Just some of the next steps for the growth policy. The plan is to release the draft plan and the future land use map for public review either late this summer or early in the fall. And, they plan to, do more public engagement regarding the plan and the map. How did we do? Did we get it right? What kind of comments do people have? So we'll be going back out to the public in the fall to really get input on that. Also in the fall, following that process, we're planning to do revisions to the plan and map. And then in the winter is when we'll actually start the process for, the adoption of the growth policy. And it's really just the beginning of the process. We don't, it's very possible that the growth policy won't be finalized until spring or late spring of 2025. But just to kind of let you know that we might start that process as early as the winter of this year. So yeah, with that, that's kind of where we're at with the growth policy.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, no problem.
All right. Is there any other business from city or county staff? Not aware of any, but not seeing people unmute, so I will assume not. Let's do public comment first. So now can be the opportunity for any member of the public wishing to comment on a matter not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of this board. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment? You can raise your hand if you're in the attendee category, or I don't see anybody on the phone, but I think it's *9 to raise your hand if you're on the phone. Any public comments? Last call. All right. Our next scheduled meeting is set for August 20. Do staff from either the city or the county know if we have any agenda items for that date as of yet?
So Quinlan, as far as I know, for the city, we won't have anything, but there's no guarantee that something can't just pop up,
Sure.
whether informational or otherwise.
All right. And do we know from the county?
Mr. Chair, Greg McNally, at this point, we do not anticipate any items for August, but again, just like April, that indicated, something may come up from an informational standpoint.
All right. Well, so we will plan for that. And as always, I'm sure you'll let us know if there's no need for us to meet. All right. Well, sorry, somebody say something.
Yeah, pardon, Chair. May I ask what may be a silly question, but I'd appreciate any thoughts from staff. I'm curious if we're going to get any staff guidance or analysis of the recent decision on the 71 ranch out of district court and how that pertains to the work that we do.
This is Greg McNally again, Adrian. I appreciate the question. I'd be happy to respond, Mr. Chair, if you'd like.
Go for it.
The decision that we've got is still pretty fresh, and we've gotten a little bit of guidance out of the DNRC, and I can certainly share that guidance with the planning board members so they have it. As far as an analysis from our department, we don't have an analysis complete at all on that, and it's something we're continuing to monitor and engaging in discussions with MACO. The Montana Association of Counties, and learning more about how this is going to change some things for particularly the county.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Greg. Or that was, yep, is that Greg? Thank you. I appreciate that. I am in display. I'm reading through the decision and also visiting with some folks at MACO, and I understand the consequences for subdivision review are pretty significant. Would it be safe to say that locally we'll be taking guidance from MACO in how to move forward so that there's a similar approach across the state, or can we expect that Lewis and Clark County is going to be kind of marching to its own drum?
Mr. Chair, as always, just like MACO advises, we'll be taking guidance from our local attorney, our local county attorney. But, we take into consideration and share MACO's guidance with them as well. So, but our guidance comes from our county attorney.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg and Chair. And I would definitely appreciate anything that you have that you feel comfortable sharing from DNRC. That would be super helpful. Thank you.
Lois?
I want to thank Adrian for her question and comment. I think groundwater is a very important issue, and I would like to have some presentation and more in-depth discussion at a future meeting when staff is prepared, because I think this really will or should change consideration of how subdivisions are evaluated. And I want to kind of know what we can look forward to or what might be the ins and outs of what we'll be looking at. And again, thanks to Adrian for bringing it up again.
Thanks, Lois.
All right, are there any other comments or questions? All right, well, thank you all for being here tonight, and we will see you probably in August. We are adjourned.
Thank you.